Episode 516, President Ambrose at your service. How dare you? Caroline spluttered. Who do you think you are? Alex ignored her and looked straight at Ash. Break your fingers, or we're not done here. Jessup moved closer to Alex and spoke in a low tone. Alex, please calm down, he said. This is not the time to provoke the Thorntons. Ferdinand will wreak havoc here. As Alex considered the advice, a serious voice came from outside the crowd and said, Let's not break any fingers tonight, my friends. A hush fell over the group as they watched Clark approach Alex, looking impeccable in a tuxedo. On his arm was his daughter Sarah, in a scarlet gown that lightly trailed the floor. She looked healthy again. Her face was glowing. Good evening, said Caroline, smiling. How lovely to see the both of you. Mr. Fairfax, Ferdinand began, but Clark clearly had no interest in hearing whatever he had to say. Clark walked straight up to Alex. Don't waste your energy on these punks. Let's talk later. Those within earshot looked stunned. It wasn't every day that they heard the Thornton family put down in this way. Ferdinand was desperate to retaliate, but he couldn't find the words. Clark was a respected leader. He had to be careful. Alex knew that Clark was right. The party was just about to begin, and it wasn't the time to spill blood. Come, Jessup, Clark said. Let's find our seats. Both men followed Alex into the ballroom without a glance at the Thorntons, who were quietly watching them walk away. If Clark respects Alex so much, we probably shouldn't mess with him, Ferdinand thought as he broke into a sweat. What are Jessup and Clark playing at? Desmond said to Caroline. His eyes were fixed coldly on Alex, and he barely noticed when he dropped his wine glass. Why the hell are they defending that lowlife? Joe was also confused by the turn of events. What's going on, Alex? He wondered. Since when do you have friends in such high places? By 7:30, the room was full. Caroline and Desmond had recovered from the conflict at the door and were seated, waiting for the party to begin. As Alex passed by Caroline's table, Joe reached out a hand to stop him. What do you want? Alex asked. Why don't you sit here with me? Joe patted the chair beside him. Did you forget I'm not good enough to be seen with you? Alex said, smiling, and then he turned to walk away. Joe flushed red, and his lips quivered. He was completely dejected by Alex's rejection. Don't talk to my son that way, Caroline hissed. Your arrogance is embarrassing. Alex turned back to their table. I'm certainly not the one embarrassing myself today, he said. Here we go again, Caroline said as she sat up straight and looked Alex right in the eye. How many times do I have to point it out to you? You're nothing compared to any of the guests here tonight, and you're certainly nothing compared to Joe or President Ambrose. I heard that the new president is as young as you, but he's already the talk of the whole city. Ah, yes, Alex replied, smirking. I hear the new president is not only a tycoon, but also extremely skilled in martial arts. Desmond nodded. You've heard right. Now do you see how out of place you are? Everyone here, the Robinsons, Cliftons, Stedmans, Chapmans, Palmers, they all have connections. And they're all here to support the new president. Joe sat in silent awe as he looked around at everyone. This president is really something else to have all these bigwigs support him, he thought. Caroline smiled approvingly toward Desmond, and noticing the host enter the stage, she leaned forward in her seat. The president should be appearing any time now. I want to get a good look at him. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, began the host. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I know why you're all here, so I won't waste your precious time much longer. The crowd laughed and edged forward in their seats, craning their necks to get a better view. The host threw out an arm and said, Without further ado, here's President Ambrose with a few words for everyone. The crowd clapped, and all eyes were fixed upon the stage as they waited to see who would appear. Alex drew a deep breath, smiled, and began walking toward the stage. Joe beckoned him. "Where are you going?" he asked. "Just watch," Alex replied as he continued toward the stage. "Oh no," Joe laughed nervously. "Quit messing around. You can't go up there. People are waiting to see President Ambrose." "Is he really so arrogant he thinks he's the president?" he wondered as he stared at Alex in disgust. "That's me," Alex said. "President Ambrose at your service." Caroline and Joe laughed and then stared at Alex like he was a complete fool. "Quit playing pretend like a kid," Ferdinand said, sneering. "There's no way you're the president." "Sit down, Alex," Desmond said. "You're causing a scene." "The joke has gone far enough," Caroline said. "Hurry back to your seat." Joe stepped forward to try to pull Alex back. "Come on, man. Sit down and stop deluding yourself into thinking you're the president. What's gotten into you?" But before Joe could reach him, Jessup stood up and clapped. "Welcome, President Ambrose," he said. Jessup was joined by Art, Oscar, Clark, and Killian Robinson, the head of the Robinson family, who all stood up, nodded approvingly at Alex, and said, "President Ambrose." Across dozens of tables, everyone began to stand up, clapping in support and warmly welcoming Alex as he moved closer to the stage. Ferdinand and Ash were dumbfounded. How is this possible? They wondered. Is he really the president after all? Caroline covered her mouth to suppress a scream, and the color drained from Desmond's face. Along with the Thornton brothers, they were the only people not cheering Alex on. "How?" Caroline managed to utter. "He came from nowhere. He's nothing but a thug with a flair for martial arts." With all the respect everyone was showing Alex, she felt her hate for him deepen. "This has got to be some kind of a joke," Desmond said. He tried to take a sip of wine but found that his arm was frozen. For the first time in his life, Ferdinand was paralyzed by shock, and a chill ran down his spine. Usually, he would jump straight in and fight, but all he could feel was frustration. How will we ever get revenge on Alex now? He wondered.